So if you sit with yourself right now and you just look at your entire day and see what kind of thoughts have been going across your mind, that's not to say the type of person you are. That's not to say where you're gonna be in 5 years. That's just saying and showing you what channels you are tapped into. And a lot of times it is the signals that we are sending out that gets us to that place in the first place. Hey y'all. It has been forever since I've done this series, and I stumbled upon a lot of my research notes a few days ago, and I'm feeling inspired to tap back into that energy, tap back into my research. Not only that, but share it with y'all. So we're getting into the perspective, not just the perspective, but I also want to change it up a little bit. It's not just the perspective, it's the golden perspective. Yeah. But I don't like to waste no time. Let's get into it. Yeah, straight into it. There is so many things I have to share within my notes, and we're gonna start with the basics. The basics being the basis of reality, the basic order and structure of reality, which consists of the 3D, the 4D, the 5D, also known as like the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. All of these different dimensions both have two things, right, that I'm gonna discuss. They all have their own space, right? And they all have their very own instrument. Nice and slow, nice and steady. Okay, I see you. Because I love talking fast, especially with stuff like this. I'm super excited, but I'm slowing down, okay? So, starting with the 3D, the instrument within the third dimension is the body. The 3D is all things physical. In the 3D, this is the space where we interact with the world around us, or just with the world, our reality. Some characteristics of the 3D is that it's slow, it's firm, it's all about order, right? And with this being said, I'm gonna actually take a pause on where I'm at and to say this, which is, with everything I'm about to say in this video, it is coming from a space, it's coming from a perspective that looks at it through the lens of physicality. It looks at it as order, it looks at things as they are separate. However, I understand that that is not 100%, that is not totally the case. The only reason it is being explained in that manner is so that I can digest it. And maybe you too, but really it's just for me. You know what I'm saying? Some things, it's like it's understood and it does not have to be explained. Some things. However, this is one of those things where I really felt like it was necessary for me to dig into it and really understand it. Not just know it, not just have it within me to know, but to understand it, to digest it. And in order to do that, I had to break it down to a material level. And that is what this video is going to look like. But I just want to keep in mind, it's an understanding that they're all one thing. Okay, and that's just the life of like being a dualist. I look at things in both ways. I'm very much the middleman. Very much. You can call me that. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. So then in the 4D, the instrument that we are gifted with in the 4D is our attention, right? And in the 4D, things are very malleable. For a long time, it took a while for me to really wrap my head on how the 4D operates. Because it's very malleable, and sometimes it looks like it can be in more space than one. It can travel to the 3D and the 5D, and it's like, how? It's damn near the same thing as a 3D, 4D, 5D, but it's just super malleable that it can move into different spaces and almost like be fully enmeshed with it in a way. But it is also still has its own separate characteristics and space and playing arena, okay? But it's very malleable, like I said. And in this space, this is where we see our thoughts, we see our beliefs, concepts, ideas. That is where these things take place at, is in the 4D. In the 5D, our instrument is the soul. It is the soul. And just to be clear, I perceive the soul to be a piece of the universe. That's my take on it. And yeah, a piece of the universe. Just, I see us all to have a soul that is a fragment of the universe here to experience itself. But that is our instrument in the 5D, is our soul. The soul. I'm not going to say our soul. The soul. And to describe the 5D includes spirits. And my take on spirits is that spirits are an energy makeup of all things, you know. And the way that I can best look at this is through our 3D reality. Each and every object, each and every living, unalive thing has an energy makeup to it. The same way it has a material makeup to it. That material makeup has another side to it that can go unseen, that can go unfelt, unknown. But that is what the 5D consists of. And the 5D is where particles are moving so fast that it can hardly be captured. Not that it can't, not that it's impossible, but it can hardly be captured. It can take work to capture it. Now that I have discussed each and every dimension on a very basic level, I want to take this a notch up, right? I was writing in my notes, right? And I'm just kind of removing some things because, mind you, these are old notes and like a lot of it made sense and I still resonated with, but some of it I had to kind of change around. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of feeling like, damn, like my old work, I gotta change this shit around. But yeah, like my beliefs have changed, my thoughts have changed. And I came across such a mind-blowing way to look at the instruments that we are given in each and every dimension. And just to be clear, well, no. I'm going a little too fast. Girl, I look like I'm angry or something. I'm just excited, okay? Like I was saying, I came across something that was very mind-blowing. Each and every instrument that we are blessed with in each and every dimension, it has a function, right? Now, this part almost got me messed up because I'm like, as I'm realizing that they all have a function, it's not like they're tied to that function. It's not like that's the only thing that they can do. But when it comes to manifestation, this is the perfect way to look at it. The perfect way to look at, not, and when I'm talking about manifestation, I'm not saying like, oh, I want this thing, so how can I get there? No. I'm talking about taking account for your current state of mind, state of body, and understanding why it is the way it is, because that's the result of your manifestation, whether you intended to or not. And just starting there and understanding how you even got to where you are right now. I know I'm talking around this like, bitch, what is it? Okay, I'm getting there. Okay. So the body, and like I said, we gonna make this clear again. It's not confined to that thing. I'll get into that. So the body is a transmitter. The body is a transmitter, meaning it sends out signals and it processes information. What this looks like on the surface is we take action. I take an action that sends out a signal to the world around me on a physical level, a mental level, a spiritual level. A signal gets sent out. when I take action, when you take action. The body also processes information, meaning, well, that's also what transmitters do, right? They also process information. So if you get hurt, boom, you get hurt. Your body begins to send out signals internally. That information gets sent to your nervous system all the way in the center of your spine, and that goes up into your brain, and that causes a reaction, a response to that external stimuli that you just experienced. Right, that's just one example of how the body processes information. But being said, the body is a transmitter, right? Follow me now. The mind, we're not just gonna say the mind, but let's say attention. The mind, attention, is a receiver. Oh my gosh, I was already cracking into this thought process, but now I just have such a perfect way to set it up. It's a receiver. I already understood that the mind is just picking up on channels. It receives and interprets signals. And the way that they are interpreted is through your thoughts. So if you sit with yourself right now and you just look at your entire day and see what kind of thoughts have been going across your mind, that's not to say the type of person you are. That's not to say where you're going to be in 5 years. That's just saying and showing you what channels you are tapped into. And a lot of times it is these signals that we are sending out that gets us to that place in the first place. Because this is how it works. Let's say a fear-based thought crosses my mind, right? It just crosses my mind. And let's say I pay it no mind. I go about my day. Okay. You picked up on something and you did not act on it. So you're able to just clear the way, go about. But if that thought crosses your mind and you act on it, you secured the signal. Now you sending out signals. Now you getting your hands a little messy with that thought. Now you solidified that thought. And now you're creating a loop. So you've acted on it. And now you're just tapping more into that signal, more into that channel, and receiving those types of signals. But what I love the most is that you can really just sit with your present self, sit with where you are in your mind space, and understand and see that everything that's taken on, everything that's occurring within that field is coming from the channels that you're tapped into. And that doesn't mean that, I took these type of actions and I'm already in this loop. Sometimes it can be that. It can be you started a loop for yourself and maybe you have to go back and see how you got here. But sometimes you can just look at it and be like, I don't want this. And you don't have to feed into it. You don't have to be like, no, I don't want you, because that's not even true. You don't want to go back and forth with the thoughts either. You don't want to do that because it's not necessarily solidifying, but you are feeding that, you are keeping the thought in that space. The easier you can just let it go and move on, the better. But you also don't want to feed into it. You don't want to try to prove yourself to the thought and be like, no, you're wrong. I don't even think like that. I don't like that. I don't. Been there, done that. And still to this day, I fall into that. Not even gonna lie. But I understand that as these thoughts rise, I have the power, I have the ability to acknowledge it. And then I can switch the channel easily. As easy as I'm willing to make it. Now, the things that cause resistance is thinking that it's just kind of allowing that space to really overtake you. If you allow it to have that power, then it will. If you constantly identify with that space and allow that space to be the thing that drives you, then yeah, And not that it can't at all. Sometimes thoughts are good. Sometimes you can get bright ass ideas like this. You know what I'm saying? I was like, let me go look back at my notes. Ooh, let me make a video on it. You know what I'm saying? That is cool. But the more that you can have the awareness, the ability to look at the thoughts that are coming in and out and pick and choose which ones you want to stay and allow the other ones to float. All right, yeah, I'm not messing with that. You know, it's a sunny day outside. I feel good as fuck. I'm someone I can be easily distracted. So that's how I distract myself. I just look at the next best thing or just look at something else. The moment I start looking at something else, I'm now tapped into that channel, and now I'm getting I'm picking up new signals and shit. I'm picking up new signals, and it shows in my mind space. But yes, those are really the two main parts. And I don't know if you can tell, but I love the mind. I do. I mean, like, that's the space that I've really been in for the longest and that I'm most familiar with. I also want to touch on the 5D. I'm not gonna lie, there's not much to touch on there as of right now, at least. But the soul, the instrument of the soul, the function of the soul is source. It generates all information. It's where all the information sources from, right? For the soul, it was something that I ended up just searching up. I got my hair out today. I'm feeling very mad scientist, okay? But the soul is something I had to search up. And before I went to search it up to see like, what kind of communication, like where in the communication, I forget what it's called, the communication network or some shit, like just the functions, the things within there, like where does the soul fit at? Before searching that up, I really see the soul as something that is constantly unraveling in time. The soul is already at the complete, it is the finished, complete product, the complete art that we are making right here, right now. However, since it's way too fast for us to perceive as that just yet, well, I don't know. Since that can be a bit difficult for us as human beings to digest, to truly understand, the way that I perceive it to be is that it's constantly unraveling through each and every experience, each and every lesson. It's just unraveling with each and every evolution taking place internally, externally. It's just unraveling. Now, I couldn't really find a communication thing that fit into that, but the soul is source. Since it's this unraveling, I mean, what could it be unraveling from? It's the source. It's the source. And altogether, again, I want to say it's not confined to these functions. Like, mind you, the body can also receive information. You know, when you get that gut feeling, something ain't feeling right about somebody. And initially I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it's going through our body, getting processed to our minds, and then getting sent back to create that feeling. But then I thought of it more on an energetic level, and it's like, what if you just picking up on it and it's just directly with the body? It's not this going all the way up to the mind and coming back down. Like, nah, I think, because a lot of times, especially because it's not even about processing it. You don't really need to process it in order for it to be felt. Because a lot of times I be feeling shit and I don't even understand it. I don't have a lick of understanding where it fuck came from. So I don't really think it's being processed, but it definitely is being felt. And that goes to show how the body can also pick up on energy. It can also receive, right? But as far as manifestation goes, oh baby, the body is a transmitter. You want to send some signals out, you want to let the universe know you for real, you on your shit, take some action. Take some action. from a space and place knowing that you trust yourself, you trust the universe, you trust your abilities from that space. Not from a space of trying to prove yourself, not from a space of, okay, I just want this thing, let me try to get this thing real quick. Okay, I'm gonna just do it. Well, I mean, shit, you can just do it like Nike said, but that works too. Of course, I gotta touch on the 4D again because the 4D is so malleable, it's able to travel from one place to another effortlessly. I strongly view it as something that's meant to interpret signals. Like, they all have their own functions. The 4D has other functions. Our attention has different functions. But I feel like it just, for me and my experiences, I strongly see it fitting it being a receiver. Because when I look at everything that takes place in there, it strongly correlates to things taking place on a physical or spiritual level. When I receive downloads of information, when I begin to see thoughts based around fear out of nowhere, when you start to think of that one person. But then again, it's funny because the mind can also send out signals, and I don't know, perhaps it's in a way that the action we take solidifies, but maybe it's just the way you thinking. Well, no, because the example that just crossed my mind, like, let's say you're in a group, you're surrounded by like a group of people or whatever the case may be, and you're having thoughts of anxiety, right? But those thoughts of anxiety affect your body language, which ultimately sends out a signal to everybody else. I think I'm having difficulties seeing the mind playing any other type of role. Like, the mind alone just sending out signals without the body, without any signals from the body, just all up here. I don't know. Let's say you're feeding into those thoughts, right? Because the thoughts that's just flying past your mind, I don't really think matter. But let's just say you're feeding your thoughts, right? You're not taking action on these thoughts. And you're also not really just letting them pass, but you're holding on to them and you're feeding them. How could that be seen? How could that be transmitted? I don't know. That's a really good question, though. I'll ponder on that. I will, because my research here is not done, but this video is, okay? I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say and needed to say. And I'm glad that I left it on a little pondering question for myself. But I want to say thank you so much for listening this far, to being here with me. And let me know what you think, how you perceive your reality in the comments. Let me know something. Let me hear some. What you agree with, what you don't agree with. We can argue. We can argue. Okay, I'm just kidding. We can have a friendly debate. Even though I'm right, but I'm just kidding. I know I'm not right. It's just, this is the way I perceive my reality. And the reason why I wrote all this in the beginning, I should probably touch on that. I should have probably started with that, But we're going to end with this. How about that? I wrote all of this because just a year ago, I had this inner knowing, this understanding of what I perceive my reality to be. And I kind of needed to validate myself. That's what I needed. I needed self-validation. There are so many things that I felt invalidated on throughout my life where I just didn't receive validation. And it led to me not really tapping into my reality, the way I feel the world, the way I see the world. You know what I'm saying? So I wrote this with the intention to validate myself, to understand the way that I see the world so that I can walk with that head held high. And so, yeah, here we are a year later. And like I said, again, thank you so much for watching and listening. And drop a comment, and I'll see y'all next time.